sometimes I feel like that we have an idea of organizing that is very much imbued, I would say, of Taylorism and rationalism and mechanistic thinking. But when we speak about organizing, can we really have, I would say, a conversation that connects the discourse of organizing that we had so far and project these into the future, including much more complex aware positions? Or maybe we really have to kind of freshly restart, I would say, from a new ground when we think about organizing? What's your feeling?
When I think of organization, I think in terms of organisms, of biological organisms. That is a much earlier concept of the term organization. I think the reason Taylor borrowed the word organization, an industrial organization, is because an organism is different from an aggregate or a clump or a mass. A sand dune, to me, is a mass, a clump of grains of sand. But what Aristotle, who was probably the first person to use that notion, was thinking about was that living organisms hang together in a particular way that is very different from, say, the grains of sand in a sand dune or a pile of rocks that a construction site leaves behind. And the problem comes with that notion of hanging together. What exactly is, I'm going to use the word, the mechanism, but I don't mean mechanism in a mechanical, in a machine, Newtonian-like sense. What is the internal logical principle, if you will, that makes an organism, or now we understand better, an ecosystem, hang together in a particular way? So it's that I think it's the interdependencies between the different components that makes an organism or a social organization different from a pile of rocks. So I would like to keep that term because, especially from a philosophy of science point of view, it gets us away from a mechanistic understanding of systems and of societies and of reality in general. I think since the Industrial Revolution, since the scientific revolution of the 17th century, we have tended to think of the world in machine terms, which is, of course, what Taylor had in mind. But yet I think he was aware that there are some entities in reality, living organisms, ecosystems, social organizations that hang together in a particular way, and that when you start unraveling that hanging together, it falls apart. So it's the hanging together that gives it a coherence. It's not the actual components that matter so much. So I'm perfectly happy keeping the notion of organization.